That is hardcore.
This is hardcore shit.
But for me, it's harder and harder to resist.
All right, so welcome to Hardcore Horror with Mike and Bridget. I am one of your hostess, Bridget Byron. Hey, Mike, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How about you?
Awesome. Everything's good. So we have a special guest with us tonight is George Demick with Flickering Candle Productions. Hey, George, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Good.
Good, man. How you been? What's going on with you?
Well, today we did pickup shots. So I crushed a guy's head with a boot, hit another woman in the face with a large mallet, killed a 5-year-old girl with her mother. It's been a fun Saturday.
So just a typical Saturday for you then?
Yeah, pretty much.
Cool. Very cool. Very cool. All right, well, cool. So you are an independent indie filmmaker from Tennessee. From just what I know about your resume, you do a lot of horror stuff. So my first question for you is, why the genre? Why do you do genre films? What draws you to the horror?
Oh, wow. So you're going to get the backstory. So it's here we go.
All right, let's hear it.
I'm 5 years old. Some friends of my parents take me to see a double feature in the movie theater. One of them was a giant Bigfoot movie, which I think turns out to actually be War of the Gargantuans. If you know, I've been doing research on it.
Okay.
The second movie was Night of the Living Dead. I'm 5. The dead are coming to life. They're eating people. They're saying go to McKeesport Hospital. McKeesport Hospital was 2 blocks away. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Nightmares for 6 months. Just could not. And so then jump ahead. I'm 14 years old, and I see that there's going to be this convention, and there's this psychopath that's going to be there that made Night of the Living Dead. So I go because I want to find out why this crazed person could possibly make such a movie, and why would you make a movie that terrorize people and give them nightmares for 6 months? Right. So I go, and this is back in the day where you didn't pay for autographs and such. So I go and I meet George Romero, and George was the sweetest, kindest, nicest guy. Mm-hmm. And I literally had him cornered in a corner, asking him question after question after question. I didn't know anything about movies. And George finally got tired of standing there having me ask him all these questions. He writes down the address for 247 Fort Pitt Boulevard, his office. He goes, write me. So this was right when Dawn was getting ready to come out. So started writing him. We became pen pals. I still got all the letters. And jump ahead a little bit further. The next time I got to meet him, it was at a place called the Pittsburgh Mattress Factory. They were showing another screening of Night of the Living Dead. Me and him were standing against a wall, and I looked up because George is tall, and totally starstruck. I mean, I literally just saw gauze around him, and I couldn't remember any of my questions. Mm-hmm. My mother, who's standing behind me, points down at me and tells George effing Romero, he makes movies too. To which I go, oh, and turn just to get away from and I smashed my face right into the brick wall. George is like, he checked, make sure I was good. But then he goes, write down all your questions, come down to the office and spend an afternoon with me, and I'll answer all your questions.
Wow, very cool.
Yeah. I mean, who does that, right?
Right.
So I go down and spend an afternoon with George Romero. I'm 15 years old at this point. And at the end of it, he goes, we're doing a movie about, these knights on motorcycles. Would you like to be my apprentice? Yes. Yes. So that's basically just, my film school was literally George Romero movies. Mm-hmm. I studied them and studied them and studied them. And one of the things about George's stuff, and I don't know if I'm going to catch flack or not, there's always mistakes. There's always, in Dawn of the Dead, you see Tom Savini's trampoline that he hits when he goes off, gets hit by the trucks and stuff. And that, that's part of the love that goes into that movie. I mean, it's one of those things of, Okay, you don't have to be perfect. I learned that you didn't have to be perfect. You didn't have to make a Hollywood movie to make movies.
Right.
And that's how I got started. And, you know, I just love the genre. I mean, Night started me down the road, and yeah.
Right. So that's what your focus is, pretty much, horror and that in genre films.
Yeah, for the most part, we're hoping to. Well, I can't really talk about that, so I will catch so much trouble for that one. So we're not going to talk about that. Yeah, there's a movie hopefully coming together that is definitely not a horror movie, but for everything else I've done, it's pretty much been horror movies. You know, I love the genre. I like giving hopefully a little bit of new light, or at least a little twist on things. You know.
Right.
So if you notice that I'm actually wearing Night of the Living Dead. I'm wearing a Night of the Living Dead necklace. So him being from Pittsburgh, George Romero being his inspiration, that is the thing with zombies. And he was in one of his movies. Which one is it?
Oh, on my 21st birthday,
On his 21st
I killed
birthday.
Rhodes in Day of the Dead.
Right.
I had pulled the legs. They had a blood pump on my back, down my arm, and yeah. So I was in there with the rotted intestines that were really rotted.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a cool way to spend your 21st birthday.
George looked at me and goes, "Why would you want to do this?" And I'm like, "Where else would I want to be?"
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I did meet George when he came down to the Horror and Tattoo Festival in Nashville many years ago, and we talked a little bit. And I was telling him that one of my favorite films of his was Martin.
Oh yeah.
And so he signed.
I've seen that one. I don't think I've seen that one.
That DVD. So all I had was Night of the Living Dead, and so he signed on there. Michael, so glad that you love Martin.
That's awesome. Actually, that convention, not the convention itself, but they screened Diary of the Dead down I think at the Belcourt.
Oh yeah.
And I went down there because I didn't go to the convention. I went down there, and I was, in Pittsburgh, George was just George. Whenever there would be a movie screen or stuff, he would just walk through the lobby, come down. I mean, talk to the front of the crowd. It was never George Romero. Okay. So I'm at the Diary of the Dead screening, and Ben Dixon, they bring him through the back way, and suddenly he's out in front of the crowd in a packed house. And I'm like, how the hell am I going to see George? Just say hi. So I go down and I go, Ben, is there any way I can say hi to George? And he's like, no, his manager's here and the security, and they're just not going to let you get near George. I'm like, all right. So I wait for George to finish talking, and he's coming away, turning the head back to go through behind the counter. I step out in front of him and I go, George Demick, big bear hug in front of the sold out crowd. Come on back. And we go back. And the very first thing he talks to me about is he goes, I've been signing autographs all day, and people have been coming up and telling me about working with you. He was so proud of me.
Yeah.
And then, we talked for a little bit, and then he went on his way, and I went out and watched the movie and stuff. And then a year later, I was a guest at the Horror Tattoo Convention.
Okay. Speaking of that, I was going to say, yes, you were, because you don't remember this, but I met you there. I met you there because I have.
Oh, good Lord.
I have a movie.
I told him that earlier. I was like, hey, he's watching one again. I said, and I think he's met you at some point because it looked like it'd been autographed.
Uh-huh.
So,
yeah.
I don't know how much we charge you, but I think I owe you some money.
Yeah. No. So, matter of fact, now this is a funny story. I used to use Letterboxd to like put what movies I've been watching. I don't really do that anymore, but there is a little app called Slasher for horror fans, and so I usually put what horror I've been watching. I put this because I would revisit it last night. I put this on there, and I've got people asking me about this movie. They're very curious.
It's on Amazon. People.
Is it on Amazon?
Yeah.
Okay, I will tell them.
okay. So speaking of movies, what was your first film? What was your first movie that you directed and wrote?
Never. Well, it got distributed through John Russo's drive-in cinema or whatever he had at that back in the day. It was called Tales of the Dead, and it was an anthology thing. And we had David Early, who was in Dawn of the Dead, and a few other people in it.
Was that the movie that Mike was just talking about? And just in case we can't get our video to work, what was the name of the movie that you just showed us of George's movie? What's it called? Horror-erotica.
Horror-erotica.
And what number was that for you?
Oh Christ!
That was early, right?
That was it was midway through.
Okay.
Me and my producer Chuck Nicholson, we decided that we wanted to see if we could make a movie just by ourselves. Actually, it started out we did a short, and then and the total crew was me and Chuck. I did makeup effects, I did camera, I directed, wrote the thing, and then it was like, well, let's do another one, and then it became let's do a feature, but we're just going to do these little shorts and put them all together, and they're all erotic horror shorts. The quality up and down, but I mean, only 2 people making the movie, right? And it has most of them have redeeming value. Most of them have there's a like one of the ghost lover. This woman is out of a bad relationship. She moves into a house. There's a ghost in the house. Slowly, it becomes a romantic relationship. Then she really wants to be with him, so she kills herself to be with him, only to find out when they're ghosts and they're in the same plane, he's an abusive person, and so for all eternity, she's stuck with this abusive guy.
Oh man, well that sounds kind of crazy, actually.
You know, the only one that really doesn't is Must Love Dogs, and that's all I'm going to say. That doesn't have any redeeming value whatsoever.
Oh, Must Love Dogs.
Yeah.
I've read one of your shorts. Remember?
Oh yeah.
Was the character? I can't remember the name of it though.
I don't even think it had a name.
I don't think it had a name either. So George cast me in my first movie. He didn't even know I was gonna be a good actress. It just turns out that I am a good actress. So, but he did help me a lot. We'd sit and he gave me the scripts. We'd sit and practice, and so he did help me a lot with that. Is what we filmed over the summer, and I'll let you talk about that in a minute, if as much as you want to.
Yeah,
but I had a lot of dialogue. And I think, Mike, that's actually how you and I first met. Is from we were filming in the same place. I think we talked about this in the last podcast.
Scottsville, Kentucky.
Yeah. Well, George could tell you a lot more about that, but I'll let him talk about it since that's the most recent film, and it's not 100% finished yet. There's not even a trailer, am I right?
No,
it's still in the works.
We actually haven't cut one frame yet.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hey, it's a lot of work, right?
Well, we keep getting wonderful things happening, so we continue to. Okay, let's hold off till we get that shot too. So it's called All of It Ends. It's about giant fissures that are opening up around the world, and armies of monsters are coming out and attacking the humans, and it's about one small town just trying to survive and not doing a very good job of it. So you did absolutely amazing job in the acting. I mean, you surprised really and that sounds derogatory, but it's not. I mean, the level of how good you really are is pretty amazing.
Oh, I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. You have no idea. It means a lot to me, because that was man, even some of the stunts. I do my own stunts, by the way. Oh man, I can't even really give anything away, but
well, no, we can talk about it.
Spoiler alert, just a small one. Mike and I may have talked a little bit about it, but my death scene was my favorite, and I was so nervous about it. And
well, understandably, we hoisted you into the air.
They hoisted me to a tree in a park in the middle of the night, and my first words were, I looked at George and I said, I want to know what man here thinks he's going to be strong enough to pull me up 4 feet off the ground. He said, we're not. You're to a truck. I said, okay. I turned around. Sure enough, there's truck. They go, but it ended up being fine. He stayed with me, made sure I was comfortable. I was completely comfortable, and it actually turned out to be fun.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. But we had a lot of fun, a lot of fun times. Now I'm going to rewind a little bit while we're talking about this. So I'm going to go back to Deadlines. Deadlines was the first movie I was in. I was just a featured extra. But we filmed in 2019, summer of 2019. Am I right?
No, 18. We were ready to premiere in 2019. 2019, and then Premiere in 20, and then COVID.
Because of COVID, this was the movie we talked about that. I mean, we just had a premiere because every time he wanted to be fair for all the actors and all the people that put so much work into it. He wanted us to have a full premiere. Well, if you remember during COVID, during the pandemic, you could only get 50% occupancy in a movie theater. So that's why it took us so long. But I wanted to go.
And Mike, as a director yourself, that when people are busting their butts and there's no guarantee they're going to ever see any money or anything like that, if you can give them a premiere and have them walk down a red carpet and see it on a big screen and get to sign posters and stuff, I mean, that means the world to them.
Yeah.
And so it killed me because I'm a hugger, and I was not about to have a premiere where I couldn't hug the people that I care about that are acting and working on my movie.
Right.
I just wouldn't do it. So it took a long time, but we finally had a premiere. Yay.
And I have my deadlines poster up back here. I'm wondering, can you see, is it a mirror image from you seeing on video?
You're on the left for me. Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I was like, I'm not sure what that's going to look like, but so now you've had some recent exciting news about deadlines.
Well, let's go back to All of It Ends for just a few moments.
I'm gonna let you take over. I get so excited and I just want to ask him a million questions, but feel free to stop me, Mike, anytime.
Well, one of the reasons why we're still shooting is in September we were killing a bunch of people one Saturday night, and people came from like as far away as Maryland to come down and get killed.
Oh.
And one lady was texting her friend all night about how much fun she was having on our set. And by the end of it, the night of shooting, the woman on the other end was going, I want to be in this movie. I want to be in it. And she was like, we can't afford you, because it turned out to be Eileen Dietz from The Exorcist.
Oh.
And Eileen was like, let me worry about that. And so we filmed a whole scene with Eileen Dietz in the movie. And then we thought we were pretty much done with the exception of pickup shots. And then I'm a big wrestling fan. I used to be a pro wrestler. For the past 2 years, we've been going to this little organization that comes up from Florida. And I've known this guy for since last February. He's a wrestler there. He's really good. But we talk all the time, but we never talk anything but wrestling. Mm-hmm. Well, in December, I started talking to him, and I mentioned, oh, by the way, I direct horror movies. And he goes, by the way, I'm an actor. And I was like, who isn't? And he goes,
that's funny.
He goes, do you know Eli Roth? And I go, well, I know who Eli Roth is. I've never got a chance to meet him. And he's like, well, have you ever seen Green Inferno? And I went, no, because Cannibal Holocaust is not my type of movie. So no, I had no idea, no reason to see Green Inferno. He goes, well, I started it. And I'm like, well, all right, you want to be in a movie? So I went, and I've seen Green Inferno. I actually love the movie. It's not what I thought it was going to be. I need to let Eli Roth, just anytime he does something, just go see it, because he's never what you think it's going to be. It's always something different. But anyway, his name's Ariel Levy, and he's starred in like 20 movies in Chile. And last year he moved to the U.S. He's doing the wrestling thing, but he's also doing acting. And so we're filming a scene with him next the 11th, Friday night.
In Green Inferno, he was I'm trying to remember his character. He was the main guy over like their little group that they had. I can't remember his character's name. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't know his name. No.
He's the one that had the girlfriend, the blonde
girlfriend. The blonde girlfriend. Yeah. And then he's the jerk in the cage.
Hey, you said the jerk in the cage. I was just fixing to say he was the one that was jerking off in the cage.
Yeah.
It's funny. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's a cool story.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. What else do you have? Anything else do you have going on right now?
Well, we just got distribution deals. Worldwide distribution deals.
Yay! That is big news.
Takahe, our killer Bigfoot movie.
Have you seen Takahe?
No.
Okay.
And deadlines.
Yay!
So
that's
in
awesome.
June or July, it'll be hitting Spotify and iTunes and Dish Network and some Walmart stores, and I don't know what all the other platforms are but we've got deals and we're seeing what happens.
I mean, that's awesome. That's really good news. That is so exciting. That's a really, really big deal. Anything I know, well, you probably, I know you like, you hadn't quite finished deadlines for a reason, but you were already thinking about another project. All It Ends isn't finished, but are you already starting to get anything in mind for a new project?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a couple other irons in the fire that I can't go into on the podcast because it'll be big problems.
Sure.
However, one of the next lower budget things we're going to be doing is Kyle Dieters is the name of the main character, and for lack of a better term, we're doing the further adventures of Kyle Dieters because so many people were like, "Hey, I really like this character," and I mean, if you like Kolchak the Night Stalker, you'll like Kyle Dieters. I mean, that's basically my homage to him.
Right.
Mm-hmm. What did you say? If you liked, what movie was it?
Oh well, the Night Stalker, Kolchak the Night Stalker.
Have you seen Night Stalker?
Oh yeah. Oh, that's very old.
Yeah. Okay.
and mixed with it's Kolchak meets Count Yorga vampire. You know. So
that's the vampire that and there's so many of them. Do you know which vampire that is?
Yeah, it's been a long time though.
He's the one.
It's Robert Corey.
Yeah.
You know, he has all like shark fangs. Actually, it's more of a thing. But I mean, and that slow motion. I mean, that was that was all Yorga.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And even watching the zombie movie. In The Return of Count Yorga, he's watching, another vampire movie, like Vampire Lovers or something.
Oh, okay. Really?
Only in Spanish.
Oh.
It's in Spanish, and he's just sitting there going, and Brudai comes up behind him and doesn't say anything, but he knows, and he gets up and goes. So.
We have a thing where we're both movie collectors, not just horror. I mostly collect horror, but George is the fan of all films. So we have a thing where we trade out movies. We take turns. Like I'll loan him a few and he'll loan me a few. So that's been kind of fun to do.
Well, speaking so George, I got a question for you. Being a collector like that and growing up the way films are seen and distributed, how do you feel about collecting movies, physical copies, as opposed to the streaming platforms of today? What's your thoughts on any of that stuff?
Oh, that's a good question.
I hate streaming. I either want to see it in the theater and if I like it, I want to be able to hold it and own it and not have it on some cloud somewhere that that's not having something. Mm-hmm. It's like reading a book. I want to hold the book. I can't stand reading stuff off the computer as far as books and stuff.
Yeah, then for movie collectors, if you wanted to go and get a lot of our movie, even you get a lot, we get them autographed. Like, how would you do that if the actual physical copy wasn't available?
They're doing that now.
Is that a thing?
Yes, I've signed digital autographs for people in England.
How do you do that?
They send you the whatever item that they're going to do. It's a digital thing, right? And then you literally, they have it set up where you click on it and you just write your name on the screen with your finger, like when you're signing those checkout things.
Wow.
And there you go.
I'm a little
they got
bit
a
behind.
digital autograph, which I don't even think that's the same.
It's not. To me, it's not. But, I guess if they're in a different country, maybe that's an option. If they can't make it here, that's one thing. But for me, still, I'm old school. What about you? What are your thoughts?
I've gone back and forth with it. I obviously grew up collecting and everything, and I went through a period where I was kind of like just wanting to reduce clutter and everything, and kind of went through a period of not buying movies, and then I did start streaming and like collecting things digitally, like on Vudu and everything, which it's a good option to have. I mean, to have alongside with your collection. But, once everything started, like especially with cancel culture and everything and things being pulled, like, I don't know if you guys remember, but once that Michael Jackson documentary on HBO came out, they pulled a Simpsons episode from everything, just like that. And that got me like thinking like, wow, I watch a lot of things that are taboo and controversial, and it's like you don't want to have that stuff to be pulled or messed with. I don't know, like there's a lot of things on Netflix and just other places that have been cut a little bit that you wouldn't think of, like Final Destination. There's a few little split-second scenes that are cut, and so I don't like any of that.
So I don't know because I don't stream. So you don't actually, even though you paid for it, somebody can actually take it away.
Well, what they did with that Simpsons episode in particular is if you owned it, no, they didn't take it away, but they took away the option to buy it. So if you didn't have it already, you no longer have. And I assume the way they were talking was even the discs going forward would not have that episode in it. So pretty crazy, but with streaming, it's just like boom, it's just like that. Instances where yes, some things do get like messed with a little bit. So I don't trust it completely. So I have went more back into physical collecting because it's just a way that you can obviously, control what you have and not have to worry about somebody messing with it.
I wish it was all, hard copy stuff, but the way the world has changed and the distribution changed, it's got to be streaming, and we don't really have an option. They're going to make some DVDs that are going to go into Walmarts. They're obviously not going to make enough DVDs because we'd lose our shirts if they made enough for all across all the Walmarts. So I have no idea where they'll be or what. And I'm just, it's like, but the only way for me to make money as a filmmaker is I got to go streaming. Okay.
Yeah. I like the physical copy too, because I actually watch the extras, the featured extras and the deleted scenes, or, if it's got several endings, you can't always see those extra things when you're streaming a movie.
Yeah. Some of them do now. Some of them, like on Vudu and Movies Anywhere, they do contain the extras. So they are leaning more toward that. But yeah, there's a bunch of them that still don't have that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So our podcast is called Hardcore Horror. George, tell us about, you just talked about Cannibal Holocaust and how that was not your thing. Tell us extreme horror that you like, or if you don't like any of it, tell us why.
Oh, no. I mean, I like the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
He listened to our podcast, our last one, but that's funny.
I thought the violence in it was awesome.
The kills were good. We talked about it.
And the fact that they just got into it, and how many Texas Chainsaw Massacres have you watched where it's like, okay, we're gonna spend the first half hour just kind of everyone's on the fringe, and this guy's a cannibal and cooking up barbecue, but we're not gonna say he's part of the family. They didn't do that. They just went, yeah, here we go. I don't even know why those kids were in that town, buying that town, what was going on with that, nothing. But I was okay with it because he rips that guy's arm off at the beginning and we're off and rolling, So that one, you guys had forgotten and I can't remember the name of it right now. It's blocking out. It's the one where they're Satanists, but it's a game industry. And when someone new gets married into it, they have to, on their wedding night,
It's good. Yeah. What is it?
And that's,
you're talking about Ready or Not?
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
That's extreme, I think.
I thought that was good. It was just different.
Yeah.
I'd never seen anything like that before.
And she kind of tricked me into Martyrs. Because I'm not into torture porn, and but it comes so far into the movie that I'm kind of going, she's gonna get out. She's gonna get out. I'm not actually watching them torture her. Just fuck. Oh, are you cussing?
Oh yeah, no, it's fine.
Okay.
It's a hard podcast. It's good.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. That was a really good movie.
Yeah, it all depends on story. I like stuff, but I also, if you watch Deadlines, there ain't nothing hardcore about that. It is. Maybe the glass in the feet, but not even that really.
If you remember that scene, she actually really did cut her feet. Do you remember that where she drops her glass and steps on it? She really did cut her.
Oh yeah.
Her feet while she was filming.
Sugar glass will cut you.
Oh no! Oh no! Do you remember mine sent with the bottle? Do you remember that?
Oh yeah. You got hit.
I don't know if I ever told you or not. It was in the, I think it was very beginning scene.
Yeah.
The homeless camp, and it's Dr. Gangrene. Remember him? So he hits me in the bed with a bottle. Well, we only had about 3 or 4.
We had made those.
Yeah, they made the bottles, and it's crazy because you don't even really, you're on an adrenaline rush. You don't really realize what's going on. And I remember, and then I grabbed the ball and I stabbed him in the neck. But the scene's so quick in the movie, you might not be able to catch all this, but there was blood everywhere. And when we were cleaning up and leaving, I remember walking past the restroom, past the mirror, and I was like, oh, there was still blood on my forehead. Well, it wasn't fake blood. It was real blood. It come through, but, and I had a pretty big goose egg, but I thought it was funny.
Well, what happened was it got the sugar baked unevenly. Mm-hmm. So she had a nice thick part of the bottle that got whacked into her forehead. And, and we didn't even know it until afterwards when she goes, by the way, look at my lump. And I was like, oh no.
Have you ever used sugar bottles or any fake glass?
Well, the one that I used with candy was not one that I made. It came ready to go, but we did use the sugar on leaf blower too. And I do recall there being some problems with that one as well. I don't think anybody got hurt, but I think, there was at least a couple of takes we had to do because it didn't exactly work right the first time.
Yeah. But that's the fun thing about the practical effects. And I didn't get hurt by no means. It ended up being funny. I thought it was funny because I thought it was fake blood. So I thought it was funny. So speaking of, what first thing that comes to the top of your head, tell me about the craziest thing you experienced on film set. Oh, that's a hard question, isn't it?
No,
that's a hard one. No,
it's actually very easy.
Okay.
We were filmed in the DeBerry prison before they tore it down. We did Asylum of Terror there.
Where's that at?
It's in Antioch. It's over off Harding.
Oh, it's the one where they had the haunted prison. Is it the same place? No.
Well, across the street.
Okay.
It was a haunted. Yeah, they did have a haunted prison in the actual old prison.
Yep. Yeah.
That place was haunted.
Okay.
So we filmed a throat slitting scene we were shooting 16 millimeter, and we filmed a throat slitting scene inside the cell, and everything's sharp focus, everything's lit, everything's good. And the minute that knife starts going across this guy's throat, it was like something stood in between the camera and the actor.
Oh.
And we're like, we get the footage back and we're looking at it. It's like, the hell's that? What? So we went back, reshot again. Everything's in focus. Knife starts to go across. No, you're not watching that. We finally ended up shooting it out in the hallway and it was okay.
Well, that's pretty crazy. You were in a cell?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's pretty crazy.
That would probably be it. I mean, everybody on that set, you would walk down a hallway, and if you were by yourself, you would hear like George, like right there. So yeah, it was definitely a haunted place.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Did you ever finish that movie?
Oh yeah, it's Hollywood Video. York Entertainment picked it up, and it was in all the Hollywood videos.
And what's the name of it again?
Asylum of Terror.
Asylum of Terror. Have you seen that one?
I don't think so.
All right, we're gonna have to put it on our list.
It's about a prison for the criminally insane that they've turned into a haunted house, and then one of the criminals comes back and is going through killing everyone in the haunted house.
Oh wow!
It's a 70-minute movie, and we killed 21 people and had two sets of nudity, two sets of tits. I was kind of impressed by that.
Hey, we've talked about that before. It's horror and boobs.
But it's changed.
We had an entire podcast on it. It was like, it was just our first little trial run that we had, but that was our topic and how it's changed so much that it used to go hand in hand together.
Yeah.
But now, it's not anymore.
No. I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't put nudity in my films anymore because I got tired. I mean, I use beautiful women, but they aren't Hollywood. Mm-hmm. And I got tired of having to defend women because they were nude in my movie and their body didn't look like what you see on HBO. And
that's funny. And what's the matter, George? You don't think I'm Hollywood? Just kidding.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's I don't know, but I'm pretty certain that somebody would go, funny. She wasn't totally flat and wasn't this and wasn't that, and her nipple wasn't big or whatever they were complaining about. But it's just like these women are bold enough to show their bodies, and their bodies were beautiful as far as I was concerned.
Mm-hmm.
But people were like, "Oh, wow," yeah. And it's like, yeah, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I just stopped doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Really? Yeah. I mean, the last real nude one was probably 2017, which it wasn't that long ago, but really 5 years there has.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah. 2017.
And it used to be that's what distributors wanted. They wanted blood and they wanted tits, and yeah.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a thing. We'd have to go back and I actually wouldn't mind going back and listening to the podcast, everything we talked about, because we dove into it pretty deep on why things have changed and why they were the way they were back then and why the two went hand in hand. But yeah, that was pretty good. So we talked about your first movie, and I asked you this earlier tonight, but Mike, you might not know. You've kind of checked out his resume. I asked him how many films that he has done, full feature films. Is it 17 full feature?
Yeah.
So together with shorts, how many do you know?
I've only done 1 or 2 shorts.
Okay.
I mean, because usually most of
way.
the shorts, like when we started doing shorts for it, it became erotica.
Mm-hmm.
Tales of the Dead became Tales of the Dead. It was, or So Say the Dead, whatever the hell it was.
So what I did some shorts. So after my first feature, I did some shorts, and really for me, I just put them all in the anthology, because when you went to submit them to a festival, instead of submitting 3 or 4 shorts, it's cheaper to do it's cheaper to do a feature.
Yeah, well, I mean, as I tell people that you go, hey, I want to make a short, it's like, that's fine. But literally, if you want to do it right, you're putting just as much energy, just as much effort to shoot a short that you could be shooting a feature.
Mm.
I don't see why people don't just go for it. I mean, especially with the equipment as cheap as it is, and there's everybody. One of the guys turned. Okay, so I'm taking down my Christmas decorations outside, and my son's with me, and our neighbor comes over, and he had wanted to be in the movie earlier in the year, but couldn't make it because of scheduling and stuff. My son's like, well, have him come out to when we do the pickup shots and kill him. All right, so they came out today. He brought his daughter, and we killed him, killed his daughter. And they were this was something that they always wanted to do. It was something that they were just so happy to have his boot. I literally because my son was supposed to be the monster, but he's down with a dry socket. He had wisdom teeth out this week. So I put the boot on. And he literally laid on the ground, and I put a boot on his face and did that. And then blood was splattered everywhere. And he jumped up and thanked me. I mean, I'm like, okay. I don't know if I'd let somebody put a boot, maybe George, when we were back in the day. But beyond that, I don't know if I would, no, you've been walking around on it. I mean, it's the thing. But with all these people and friends and neighbors and stuff that want to be a part of a movie, mm-hmm. There's no reason why you can't make a movie. Obviously, you want to audition people and get better talent and stuff, but you're a prime example of that. I said, hey, you want to be in the movie? I put you in just as an extra. Well, not an extra. I mean, you're one of the vampire brides.
Yeah.
And then, she's actually committed and has talent and stuff. So on the next one, she got big role, a really big role.
Oh yeah, I've done that too. Like somebody come up and was just an extra in a movie, and I kind of just could tell by, what they did in that small little role, and then the next time they were, given a bigger part. I mean, that's happened many times.
One of the things, and I don't know when you're doing them. One of the greatest joys I get is having like 4 or 5 people, because I love it. You got 4 or 5 people that before you start production going, I want to be a production assistant. Mm-hmm. I'm like, yeah, come on board. But it's going to be the hardest job you ever did. But come on board. And they come in, and the first day goes by, and by the second day, you're down to 2, maybe 1 of those PAs. But the thing is, you've now given them the fucking heroin, man. They are there, and it's revved into them system, and they can't get enough of it because Jesus, there is nothing better than making a movie. I mean, it is just to orchestrate it and put it all together and watch it come together, and pull off things like having calling up a mayor and going, well, I'd like to shoot a movie, and you think, yeah, come on up. And they close down streets and they assign police officers to you and they do all this stuff. And the town comes out and is doing extras and the mayor's getting killed in the middle of the street by a monster.
Mm-hmm.
How cool is that?
That would be Scott. Remember me telling you that's in Scottsville. I was like, they like shut streets down for us and everything. And it was so people were coming out from just out of nowhere, even in the rain, just to watch. It was pretty fun.
You know, I mean, and when you can turn people on, or when we did Dead Start, which was my zombie movie, we expected like 150 zombie extras. We had 550 zombie extras show up. People coming from Florida, people coming from New York. I don't even know how they found out about it, but it was the most amazing thing. And many of them were like, I've always wanted to be a zombie in a movie. Mm-hmm. And I got to give that to them. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, and it's just such a joy to, like, you know, as I've told people before, if I don't make a dime making a movie, I've given people their bucket list things, and I've given people chances, and I've given people dreams, and I've changed people's lives because they got to do something that they would never ever have done. Right. And that's just so much. Keep the money. I don't care. We're affecting people, and we're bringing happiness to people. What the hell? That's awesome.
Oh, that's cool. How many? Say one more time for me. How many zombies did you say?
550. At the time, we came in.
That's a lot of zombies.
We came in.
It is.
150 short of the world record, and we weren't even trying. So then we got the bright idea. Same movie. Let's really get the word out, and let's do a Watertown drive-in. Let's have everyone come out. We had Terry Kaiser, Bernie from Weekend at Bernie's came in for it because he was a friend of a friend and came in and did the scene. And we were going to try and break that record. Well, in the meantime, that was the summer where everyone tried. So it jumped from like 650 zombies to break the record to 2,000 and something to break the record. And when we tried to break the record, we got a whole 250 people. But, you know, how cool was it that they came out? We filmed it in the drive-in. You know, it was Carson's birthday. I had all these 250 zombies sing him happy birthday as zombies. So it was like, you know. So, yeah, it was great. Cool. You know, it was a great
That was in the newspaper, right?
The 550, because we completely shut down Smyrna.
Yeah, and that was the thing. It was Rutherford County was shut down.
Smyrna. Yeah, we had a line for them, and it was such a communal thing. I mean, with all those people, we were so overwhelmed and so understaffed that they broke into groups. And I remember there was some lady that used to be in the military, and she became like the drill sergeant, telling them, all right, you guys get in that line. How many people have done makeup before? Okay, you guys get over here and help these makeup people. Okay, you spray blood on people. And they just did it. And then we had lunch. We had like 10 pizzas, which for 150 people would have been okay.
Right.
550 gone in a second.
I'm like, y'all get a crumb.
Literally done, and you know, no one complained about it.
Yeah,
no one fussed about it. No one did anything. And at the end of the day, they stayed around and helped clean up.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Amazing day. Amazing day. And all of them wanted to be. This was before Walking Dead, where you could go down to Atlanta and be a zombie. Sure. This was way before that. We put them through zombie school and stuff real fast. It was an amazing day.
This was before. I think this is before Nashville. They do the whole zombie.
Yeah, it was before all that.
Whatever all that is. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever attended. I've never been, but you're the big thing down, big zombie walk or whatever. So this would have been way before that.
No, actually, they were doing that because I remember for that movie we actually went down and shot a few things
Oh, okay.
that we put on
Oh,
news
okay.
to make it look like something was, because there was people with bandages on because the people go as zombies and people go as victims.
Mhm.
So we shot a couple of stuff. None of the zombies there worked for what we were wanting to do, but yeah, we shot stuff.
Now you're gonna have to watch Dead Start. Have you seen that one?
No.
It's. I think I've seen that one. I think
You
it's
can-
on
you can-
Amazon.
you can get it on
I think
Amazon.
that's where I watched it at. I'm pretty sure.
You know, to me, you know, I didn't want to ever do a zombie movie because of George. And then finally I was like, I had an idea. So I was like, what would really happen if the zombie apocalypse happened? The reality is most of us would stay in our houses and watch CNN until the zombies were outside the door.
Mm-hmm.
And that's literally what the movie is.
Mm-hmm.
And it has, for me, one of the more chilling scenes that I've ever shot, which is a mother getting a phone call and hearing her family get torn apart and not being able to do anything about it, you know? So yeah, I in my personal opinion, I think it ranks up in the top 10 of zombie movies, but that's just because I'm, you know, obviously biased to it, but I think it's really good, really great performances.
Yeah, that is pretty brutal. But as you're saying this, I'm sitting here thinking in my head, there's a scene in All the Ends that maybe it's not as brutal for most people, but for me, however, my daughter has a small little part. Her first part in this movie we filmed over the summer, he's currently working on All That Ends, and she does get killed in it. And for me as a mom being there, okay, and I was in the scene and I hardly had any lines that night. I could not get my lines straight. My lines would be like, fuck, or I could not get it right because I was so distracted from that. But oh God, she did so great. She did so great. I don't know, you might not want me to say anything, but have I told you this or not? So yeah, she's under a car and gets shot by her mom because there's these monsters coming. But the shot where the mom actually kills her is, God, I just remember being in the Twilight Zone, and I mean, I couldn't get my lines right. I was like, that was so dramatic. And I think that scene will turn out from a viewer, you know, this scene, this crazy intense scene with a mother and a daughter, even, and which makes it even creepier as I'm her real mom and I was there, but I think that's pretty intense.
Oh, and the actress, once again, she had a small part in Deadlines. She was the barfly.
Oh yeah, and she did great there too.
And she blew my socks off, emotionally crying and stuff when she puts the gun down, you know, and then as she's killed her daughter and the blood is splattered on her face, she comes up and starts to put the gun, and just before she can pull the trigger, boom, one of the monsters nails her, and it's powerful. It's cool. The mayor walked up behind me when we were shooting that. I didn't even know he was there.
I didn't either. Tracy was on set, and he was like, "You can't watch this. You need to go over there," because it was so intense. And I was like, "What's happening over there?" You know. But yeah, it was pretty intense. There was a lot of people showed up that night. I feel like.
No.
Well, y'all were flipping the cars around.
There was maybe about 10 people came and just decided to watch.
Yeah.
But if you recall, that was also the night of the big storms. It was the Garth Brooks concert that got rained out because all the bad weather.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
And we had, you know, generators and lights on the streets and stuff, and we had cars overturned, and the weather was supposed to be fine.
I remember that night. I was in Murfreesboro at a concert. Yep.
And it changed within like an hour. We finished shooting over one section of the town, came over to get ready to do this, and it changed. And the weather was rolling in, and I was losing my shit. I was like, let's go. Rehearse. Why isn't he in makeup? Get him in makeup. I was just, get it. You know, this rain is coming and we got to do something. The weirdest or blessed thing, I don't know. We had two people that were very, very Christian, very much into prayer and stuff. And I don't know why or how. Okay. But it was a blessing. We got this shots and we were doing this filming. And people could have gotten electrocuted because the generators and the lights and all that stuff. I mean, it could have got seriously bad, seriously fast. Across the street from where we were shooting was the city hall. Mm-hmm. And they had spotlights up on City Hall, and you could look over
You could see it.
and see rain just
Yeah.
pouring,
Mhm.
and nothing touched our street
Nothing. Yeah.
until
weird.
we got done filming, killed the generators, killed the lights, and then it hit our street. So the poor guys that had to pick up the cars and take them back, totally in the rain.
Right.
But I mean, I don't know, but that was blessed.
I remember that George was having to come for. He was going because everybody wants to and he's trying. No, we've got to hurry. You don't understand. They canceled the Garth Brooks concert that
Yep.
night. It was
They
that bad.
part of that concert I was at too, because that's when it started. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So George, I got another question for you.
Sure.
As a director, how do you keep evolving as a director? Because the difference between an actor or actress and a director is typically you're always on your own sets. An actor can go from a production to another production to another production. They can see all these different styles and methods and way of making films. Whereas typically, unless you are involved in a lot of helping with a lot of different other people, you kind of stay in your own, your own.
No, I get it.
So how do you keep changing up?
Actually, up until all of it ends, my youngest son Carson has now become a co-writer, co-producer, and as he said, he can't stand deadlines. Okay, he can't stand. He was the guy that the drunk that gets the bar thing gets slammed onto the side. That's Carson. So for whenever you guys we were able to stream it, you can see him and you'll understand what we're talking about. But anyway, I'm trying to make some bucks here. Come on. But so he was like, okay, you're done doing George's style. You got it. We're changing it up on this one. We're going to do things differently and stuff. And he forces me to change it up with the writing. Like I'll write the script and then he'll look at it and go, oh, no. You're changing these dialogues. This is not modern. This is not this. This is not that. To the consternation of some of the actors, because I remember all of the end goes, who says that? Well, talk to Carson. He's the one that put it in. So, but yeah, he's forcing me to change up my style a little bit. I've always tried playing around with different styles. When we did the movie called The Shelter, which is one of my favorite movies that we've done, it's mostly Steadicam because we had a really cool rig that we had built DIY, and I loved it because the autofocus on the camera that we were using was absolutely amazing. So you could go start with a group of people and be on the outside of it, and as they're doing dialogue and stuff, weaving in and out and get all the way up to a close-up, and it would all stay in focus. I love that camera. So I mean, I always like playing around. I as far as that's my directorial image that you get on the screen, right? Mm-hmm. As far as the way we function, we have fun. We're what I say, 10-year-olds. We're 10 and 12-year-olds on the set. We I cuss like a sailor in case you haven't caught on to that yet. But so there's that going on. There's insulting each one. We're
we all cut up
cutting
up.
Fun. Yeah. And
to.
But because I mean the work is so hard, as you know. I mean, people can say whatever they want. Digging ditches is hard. You make a movie. You'd be on a film set. Incredibly hard. But we have a good time while we're doing it.
But don't get me wrong. George will get on your ass on set. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, there comes a time where it's like,
yeah, because you're trying to get all these people
getting everything done.
Everything.
Wrangle it in. Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, he's reeling in. Yeah, he's direct. It's called directing, managing.
And I mean, me personally, I love when we're able to pull all this stuff together and make it happen.
Right.
I mean, Scottsville again. They had, I mean, just so supportive. Mm-hmm. I mentioned, do you know anywhere there's a junkyard? Because we need to get a couple cars flipped on the street. That afternoon, they went and contacted the thing and go, we got it for you. Go up and talk to Jerry or whoever it was. I was like, okay. You know, so when you're able to pull off things that you shouldn't be able to pull off because, you know, the budgets are so small and stuff, that's so much fun. So much fun.
All right. So you got the master class in like coming up with with Romero and like him teaching you a lot of the secret ins and outs. What would you say to some of the young people that want to do indie filmmaking? What kind of advice you got?
Man, it's the same thing I've always said. It's from day one. Just do it. Nike's right. Just do it. I mean, you got the equipment. You can use your damn phone these days. There's free editing software. What's your excuse? And here's the thing. I have friends, and I have a good friend who has been, I was 20 something, right? When I met him. He's always talking about how he's got a film idea that he wants to do, and he's going to be doing it, and he's going to be doing it, and he's going to be doing it. And he has yet to shoot one damn frame of film or video. You know, you just got to do it. And don't let anybody go, no, you don't know how to do it. You can't do it. You know, I mean, I wanted it so bad that I couldn't, my parents didn't know how to get me into college. They weren't literate. I know they were literate, but they weren't savvy enough to get, you know, grants or any of that stuff, or student loans even. Mm-hmm. So I went and I contacted a teacher, Tony Bubba, at Pittsburgh Filmmakers. And I said, can I just sit in your class and you grade me, but it doesn't matter for anything. And he let me.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that. It's a good story.
You know, I mean,
that's cool.
You know, he's also, I got to a point as a young guy that I was like, I'm not getting hired anywhere. I'm just frustrated. I'm going to join the Army. And he was so opposed to me doing that, that he hired me to do sound on one of his short films. And I'd never done sound before, you know, and I mean,
hey, that opened up something. I'm sure you've learned a lot from doing
absolutely.
That too.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's, you know, young people just, I mean, get a camera, get a phone, get whatever you got, let your imagination go and try it. You know, I mean, you're not going to succeed all the time, but you might. Perfect example. We had on All of It Ends, we had two people, Kayla and David, who came on to help Riff, my makeup effects guy. And all through the shoot, because Riff was getting overwhelmed with stuff, I'm like, delegate, get them to do. And today, he delegated, and he had them doing some of the effects. And he was able to pull it off. It was a fairly easy effect, but we were able to pull it off. And then Kayla's, which was the claws going into your back to pull you apart, it didn't work. I mean, it's a hard effect. I mean, I can't even figure out exactly how to do it to make it work for what I wanted, but it didn't work. But that's okay. And I teased her about it and stuff. But I was like, you learned something, you know? And she's going, yeah, I'm going to figure out how to make this effect work, whether we're using it for this or not. And I went, right. But it's just try it. It's not always going to work, but try it, you know? And if you're a new filmmaker and stuff, go ahead, do a short. I mean, there's nothing wrong with making shorts at all. It's because that's how you get practice. That's how you learn. You know, I was making shorts when I was 8, 9, 10 years old, you know, and my mother was my cameraman, and we had a fake army helmets on and toy guns jumping through the hedges and stuff. You know, I mean, you just make movies. And once you get that, and once you start learning it, God, how can you turn it off?
I wish I had that foresight. I didn't start making movies until I was in my 30s.
I just found out. Do you know who Elton Brown is?
I don't think so.
He has a wonderful show called Good Eats. That you look it up.
Oh my God, the nerdy guy. Oh
yes.
my God, I love him.
Okay, how he got started was he went to school for filmmaking and theater, And then when he got done with that, he went to school for culinary because he wanted to make good eats.
No, but he's got all these weird, like he does these weird little skits while he's cooking things, and he's good.
And he explains the scientific reason why things boil and stuff.
You'll have to look that one up because I don't know if this show's still on or not. But actually, and I didn't even used to. I didn't cook for up until a few years ago, but I always watched the show because it was just funny and interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Well, Bridget, I got a question for you.
Okay.
So we talk about hardcore horror here.
Yep.
I think you watched a movie since we last spoke. That movie was Grotesque, right?
Oh yes, I forgot that I watched that.
What'd you think about that one?
Yeah, it was. Well, it starts off. I mean, it's one of those that start. Have you seen this movie? No. Okay. It started off like immediately.
Yeah.
Going into it, so there's like no build up or anything. It's just like, oh shit, oh wow.
Backstory, but not much, right?
There's not a lot of backstory there. I mean, I had some cringe moments in there. I think.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. I'm like, oh, is he gonna go there? Is that gonna happen? Oh, damn. Yeah, no, but it was. Oh god, this movie is. I don't even think there's a lot of plot to it. It's just a
whole lot of plot to it. No,
it's just a torture movie. It's a lot of gore. I mean,
yeah, a lot of gore.
It's a lot of gore, and there was two of them. So the one that I watched was the original, but they had a remake a few years later.
There was actually an original of that?
The one that you and I watched was the original, but the original is not that old.
What's the remake? Is it American?
No. I look. You'll have to look it up when we hang up, because when I put it on my playlist on my watch list, when I looked it up, I was like, oh, there's two different ones. I think I asked you, I was like, which one did you watch? And you told me the year, so they come back.
I thought you were talking about the old 80s movie.
I don't think it was 80s.
Yeah.
Tracy's coming in to see what's going on. We were talking about Grotesque. He actually did not watch this one with me, and I'm glad he didn't. I know 100%. You can come in if you want. I know 100%.
Right.
He wouldn't have lasted 10 minutes in that movie. It was pretty intense.
Yeah.
So it's one you just have to kind of check off your list. You've heard us talk about.
See, I'm not really a fan of horror where, and I even with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, even with Michael Myers, even with Jason, it's not torture. It's not one person hurting another person. These are entities. These are things. Mm-hmm. I don't really like watching movies where other people are hurting people. Mm-hmm. It's not my cup of tea. I will never want to make one of those movies.
He did enjoy Martyrs, so I'm just saying. Yeah, so did Tracy. Yeah. That's funny.
But for the most part, if you tell me that's what, Hostel, I got dragged to. I'm not into torture porn, and it's not torture porn.
Right.
No,
it's a revenge picture, which is totally different. Mm-hmm. And I like revenge pictures, this all sounds really contradictory.
I got you. I get it.
But and you know the difference, right? Obviously you do.
Yes.
For the audience, torture porn is where you see your heroes and stuff getting tortured. Mm-hmm. In Hostel, the slight difference is you hear them getting tortured, but you don't see it. But the bad guys, you see every goddamn thing that they do to them. Mm-hmm. Hence, it's a revenge picture, which is a different animal. Mm-hmm. But I've never watched I Spit on Your Grave.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just not. It's not my cup of tea.
Yeah, that's
a revenge movie.
That's your tea. You got to cover.
I asked Tracy to pop in here because Tracy's been in 4 of George's movies over the years. We've talked about obviously Deadlines, and you'll have to remind me.
Well, his first one with me
was Dead Start.
Dead Start, yeah.
Yeah. So, which Mike hasn't seen Dead Start yet, but we were telling him we can watch it on Amazon. Now I feel like I've heard this story. How did y'all know each other before that, or no?
My audition.
Yeah, you just came in for an audition.
How'd you find out about it? How'd you find out about him auditioning actors?
Probably Craigslist or something.
Yeah, back in the day,
Oh, Craigslist.
Craigslist was
Yeah.
actually useful.
Yeah.
Now you can't put anything on there, and they charge you to put ads on there. So I don't. I mean,
Do they?
you know,
I haven't used
wow, I didn't know
Craigslist.
Craigslist.
I haven't used Craigslist in that long, I guess. Wow. That's
So.
crazy. All right. So, Dead Star, what was your second George movie?
Was Incandescence?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't even know what that one's about. What's that? Have you heard of any? Have you heard?
No,
Heard or
no one,
seen
no,
it?
no,
No.
Incandescence never saw the light of day.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
I mean, it got
Okay.
finished and stuff, but we never released it. We,
I died really pretty though.
yeah,
How'd you die in it?
Alien or whatever it was out there in
in the fog.
the fog.
So
Monster.
basically, I wanted to do something with monsters in the fog. That's really what the bottom line was. And
There's copies of this out there.
oh yeah,
Mhm.
well, I don't. I mean, I can get you a copy. I mean,
You can watch it on YouTube.
you-
too, can't you?
You and Corey
that
traded
I
out
know of.
these, I think. Remember, you and
Now
Corey Jordan
we
traded out.
sold. You know, we did sell copies at conventions and stuff. Where
Yeah.
with a few times I did.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, it is what it is. We had such problems with that in post. The
Mhm.
entire film, the computer messed up everything, and so I had to recut it to match the I had to recut it to match the audio that didn't get destroyed.
Mhm.
So it's just a painstaking. It's painful to even think about.
Mhm. Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know that. Now he had me watch a movie that I mean, I thought it was pretty good, and you were, oh my God, what do you call him? That it was Great Vengeance.
Great Vengeance.
Grave Vengeance.
That's the
That's
one.
the Western.
Yeah, the Western.
Where they ride that same.
And
well, the
what
horse
were the-
wouldn't run, so it was like.
What were the people called? That called them something. Oh, they're one of the. Oh man, how do y'all not know this? Yeah, it's been that long.
Yeah,
called
it's been
them-
that
What
long.
was it we were called? That's what she's talking
Just
The
about.
Raiders.
The Raiders.
The
That's it, the Raiders.
Raiders. The Raiders.
I'm more of a Titan fan myself, but you know.
Mhm.
That's another one you have to watch. I didn't think it was terrible. I thought it was pretty good.
I died good in that one too.
Yeah, you did.
I
die
was
good in
forced.
that
I
one.
was forced to watch that one actually at around Christmas time, and there's some good stuff in it, and then there's some really bad CGI gunshots and stuff, and yeah, I'm not a fan of it.
I like The Rain.
Really?
I'm being funny on that one.
Oh.
Hey, don't you see that? That's CGI.
that once again, low budget filmmaking. We had planned to have it like the three raiders meet and they're on horseback and stuff, and then the weather dictated, hey, it's gonna rain, so we changed it all to like an inside thing, but then it didn't rain. And so we're like pouring water on his hat. That hat absorbs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, because you wanted to see the drips off everything, right? His hat was soaked and it didn't drip one drop. I mean, it was just anyway.
I do remember in Deadlines the first night, the scene in the very first scene, it was supposed to be outside. Do you remember? It started
It
pouring
was
down.
pouring down.
It was pouring down rain, so that's why we filmed in the garage.
Yeah.
But it turned out good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't even think you could even tell we were in a garage, honestly.
No.
And do you remember that first scene? Remember that
With the homeless.
with the
Oh, yeah.
when we invaded the homeless camp? That was supposed to be outside, and we kept waiting and waiting and waiting, and it never cleared up. But
Well, it was also a 2-day shoot, so I made that decision earlier that afternoon that no, we're gonna, because I couldn't have everyone, because there were some people coming from long distance and stuff, and I couldn't like, okay, we're gonna shoot that, and then the next day get rained out. I was just like, that's not gonna happen. So let's move it into this area and do it there, and it was the right move. I mean, it was because it poured.
Mhm. And now for Deadlines, and I think I know this story, but Mike might not know this story. You might have told him, I'm not sure. How the movie was based off of his character, Sebastian Michaels. Now, how did that happen? How did that come up?
Well, I mean, I wanted to do the Kolchak meets Count Yorga type thing. However, trying to find a new spin on a vampire.
which is hard. I mean, that has to be hard. That has to be hard
Yeah.
to do.
And then
Oh.
then on Facebook, he's walking around going and doing his spiel. But what sold me on it was you had gotten that press, you'd gotten the front cover of some sort of magazine, and there's this vampire priest, and I went, yes, and so that's why I went out and
What magazine
Was
was you on?
HauntCon?
something like that.
I
Yeah.
showed it to you a while back too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just want to say, George, so now you've said that some of your movies are streaming on Amazon. Is there any other place that people can find your movies online, like places to buy physical copies or anything like that? Anything you want to promote?
We won't know anything until June or July, but I'll get it to Bridget and have her pump it when we get to definite platforms that'll be
Yeah,
open.
you can follow Flickering Candle Productions on Facebook and Instagram, both.
Oh, yeah, there's that.
Yep, he's
I don't
like,
do-
I don't
I
do the
don't-
marketing.
I don't do
That would be Carson Demick. He's actually done really well at it, though.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna do it, you have to do it big. He's done pretty good. So yeah, check him out on social media.
Okay.
Well, I really appreciate you coming out, and
Oh, this has been fun.
yeah,
This is-
it has
this
been
is-
a lot of fun.
And Mike, good seeing you again.
Yes, absolutely. Well, look, I think when I met you, I wasn't even making films, or I had just started. I cannot remember, but it was right in that early process for me. So I was either just about to get into it, or maybe had shot one, hadn't edited it yet, or something. It was really early for me.
Well, cool. I mean, you got to look at Erotica and go, well, if this piece of shit can get made, I can do anything. So yeah, that's good.
No, there's some good ones on there. I especially like the last one, the one I guess you would say the cannibalism one.
Yeah,
That one's really good. There's a lot of good stuff there.
Cutter. That
Yeah.
one's called Cutter. Yeah, that one's really good.
Oh, I know. Oh, I need to see this. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely, you did.
Cutter.
Thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it. Tracy, always good to see you.
Good to see
Okay.
you.
Thank you. I'll
Yes.
talk to you soon, Kay.
All right.
All
Stay
right.
hardcore.
Or holla.
All right.
Bye.
Wow, that's hardcore.
Nothing harder.